What happens to the body of a martyr? What happens to the body of a shaheed? Because of all of the deaths that have been taking place, may Allah make things easy for our brothers and sisters in Gaza. A lot of people may have this question. Well, the scholars discuss, we know that the bodies of the prophets, they're buried, they are intact. If you were to dig up the grave of any prophet, you would find his body is intact. The worms wouldn't have eaten it or anything like that. But what about the body of the martyr, the shaheed? Some of the scholars mention even the body of the shaheed, it doesn't get touched. Because there are many narrations, for example, the narration of Abd ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu, whose father died in the Battle of Uhud, and he mentioned that he, for a particular reason, had to dig up his grave. And when he dug up his grave, he noticed that his father was as the day he had buried him, except that there was just a slight, if you want to call it, decay, it's very small on his ear. That's it. But apart from that, his body was fully intact. And there are many examples. For example, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, many years later, they were burying a man next to Imam Ahmad in his grave, even though he didn't die as a martyr. And they noticed that his coffin had been, his shroud was fresh as if it was the day that it was buried. And we know that if decay happened inside of the shroud, it would have caused the shroud to decay as well. Aqid al-Tahawiyya, Imam ibn Abil Izz al-Hanafi, he summarizes, he mentions that the shaheed, his body will be intact based on how perfect his martyrdom was, and based on how perfect and how complete he was as a person. So the greater he was as a person and the greater his martyrdom was, then according to that his body will be preserved. Not like the prophets, eventually it will decay as well perhaps, but it will last longer. And that's how you reconcile between all these different narrations and situations that were witnessed by the scholars and the ulama and the salaf.